Once a week. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We are live, man. Here we go. Tuesday at 2:00-ish. And Shawn Day with Higher Lead Chill. We're back. We're here. And I've got a real cool buddy of mine that's going to hop on and talk a little bit about business. And he's got a book out. It's really unique. Before we dive into that, and before I bring Tyler in, let me just make a very brief announcement type of thing. To our veterans out there, I just want to say Happy Veterans Day. Appreciate it. We got our first snow in Cleveland, Ohio area. I'm in the snow belt. And so it was extremely cold at the Veterans Memorial thing at the park this morning. And we were still out there, and I'm on the park board there. So we've got a lot of things going on there, and it was a good turnout for the weather we had. And just God bless all the veterans out there of the past and certainly today, and for our freedoms and all those things, out there. But we never take it for granted, and I just wanted to make sure we got the word out there. So with all that said, Tyler, how you doing, my friend?
Good, Shawn. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
You betcha. We were trying to about a month or two ago, but we got we got a little stumbling going on here or there. I can't remember what. It's not important, but we got you on now. Why don't you tell some people about you and what's going on with your life and all that, and then we'll dive into a few things.
Yeah, Tyler Starkey. I own a couple of businesses, and I enjoy just coaching and teaching people to create financial freedom for themselves and time freedom, and kind of to mitigate all the stuff that we had problems with early on in the business, and kind of speed line them across.
Yep.
Make it a little easier. So, how did you get to be a part of the Parks Board? How did that happen?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's a story that'll take a minute or two, and I'll tell you. So a couple of years ago, my daughter, as a freshman in high school, got on the softball team. And she was on the starting varsity team. She's really good and all that. So I started watching softball, and I'm like, wait a minute here. Why are we playing on a park baseball field? Why doesn't the school have the boys hardball team had artificial turf field, this beautiful complex, not to take anything away from them, but this sounds a little like something going on, sexism or something. And I'm not standing for it.
Yeah.
So funny enough, my daughter came home. That was her freshman year. So kind of didn't make too much wave of it, but I started planting seeds and trying to learn a bit what's going on here. So the next year she got a new coach. And the new coach, she goes to practice, and she comes back home and goes, Dad, this new coach thinks he knows you. I said, really? What's going on? Who is it? What's his name? She told me his name. And I said, man, that sounds familiar. I just can't get it down, man. So she goes, well, he said that you guys played mini football back in 1976, and that's how old I am. And he said, and you won a championship. And he told me, if you are Shawn Day's daughter, you will be stealing all kinds of bases this year.
Yes.
I was super fast as a little kid, and he nicknamed me Cruiser back in the mini football days. We won this championship. So, long story short, I said, "Yeah, Mark, man, I know Mark." We hugged. What are we doing here with this softball field stuff, Mark? I don't know, man. My first year. So anyway, I got on the park board to make sure that the girls had a field, that they were scheduled properly, and this and that. And a long story, a little bit shorter, some things that we did. And the following year, we had a field for them on there, not 5 years, not 10 years. The following year, they had a field, a complex, and now they're playing on. But now I'm stuck on a park board. I shouldn't say stuck, but now I'm on a park board now for the next couple of years, because you get appointed. The judge swears you in. You got to say, I'm going to do this for the Constitution, all that stuff. So I'm on there, man. We're talking pickleball courts. We're talking all kinds of crazy things.
That's cool. I'm proud of you for stepping up and doing that.
Absolutely. The word yes takes you a long way when people ask you to do things, man. So you got a book out. And I want to dive into that, because I don't like to song and dance a lot on the show. I like to get down to it. And man, we've known each other now probably pre-COVID. I use COVID as like a pre-COVID or just after. Yeah. To give people a reference. Built, Not Bought, right? That's the name of the book?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so give us the insight of why you wrote it and all that good stuff, and then I'm going to dive into some things.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you have it. I think we met in like a Responsicon pre-COVID. Yeah. It was like right before you and Dan and I. That's where I met Dan too. and we just like hit it off immediately, which is really rare because I'm so typically quiet. But every time I write a book, it's never like intentional to be like a book. Like when we wrote the first one, it was like just like it was thousands of lines in my phone and my notes app of just like conversations I'll have with like, oh, Shawn, this was interesting. I jotted this down, or a common problem I hear about in the industry this year. And it's like just a list of those. And one day I was updating it on my computer, and my wife saw it. She's like, what is that? Because it's so unorganized. It was just chaos.
Yeah.
And I kind of told her, like, I just have ideas. One day I'd like to work on them. She's like, you should kind of categorize them and put them in the chapter form and see how it evolves. And that's how this happened last year. It was like total accident. I didn't even mean to write a book. It just kind of, it's how many conversations I have on the side. And it's like thoughts afterwards.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. What was cool was Angela, Angela and JC.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote this. I just put it on Amazon just to kind of get it off my list of stuff to do,
Yeah.
And she messaged me immediately. She's like, "What's your plan? Is this gonna be a bestseller? How many do you need to sell?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" So all I see is that in their text is bubbles, 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 and she writes me like this 60-page like how to like get this off and running and to market it really well. And then I canceled my schedule for the next week, and I did what she said to do. And the first book became a huge success, and the second one was like the exact same way, except I knew how to market it. So just like a bunch of ideas from entrepreneurs and business owners like you that I talk to just year round. I think we're one of the small group that we're just so blessed to be able to talk to so many people of different scales in their business all the time. It's like we can always get a feel where somebody's at just by the problems they're having. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I bought the book. I don't know, what is it, a month ago or something like that, a month and a half ago, whatever it's been. And I did notice a couple really unique things. And one of them that came to mind that, and I come from a very humble background. My dad was an alcoholic. He was in prison for 10 years. My mom had 4 kids. I was the youngest. So I was like, and my oldest brother's about 10 years older than me. My other brother's 8 years older than me. So they were kind of like in their teenage and upper teenage years and sort of doing their own thing. And I was with mom all the time, right? I was probably 7 years old or something like that. So I came from humble background, and she grew up on a farm, which was a humble background with 14 siblings or something like that. And so I know personally that there were things that took me a long time to get through and understand that there is there is a bloodline of things that you can tend to be a part of, an environment you can be a part of as you're going through your youth and you're going through experiences in your life. And you sort of dive into that a little. So that's my story a little bit. So you dive into that a little bit on your end. And the really cool thing about the book, and I think it's actually at the beginning, is sort of breaking generational bloodline cycles. Or I'm saying it probably differently, obviously, but you emphasize not just building wealth or a business, but changing sort of the narrative in your family, maybe, or in how you're experiencing and how you're brought up. And there's ways to get out of that sort of hereditary type of environment. Am I hitting it close?
No, you're spot on. So I think we had kind of the same backgrounds and stuff. It's like we come from very humble beginnings, and like you're kind of coded with like these are what you can accomplish in life. This is probably as good as you're ever going to do. Kind of like perimeters on your ceiling. And until I get around people like that, just high performer entrepreneurs that I really wasn't a part of, 8 years ago. It's when this really started. I had this like big W-2 life, like being a corporate Starbucks person. And I get around people like you and like Dan Platt and Megan Likes. And it's like, there's a different world socially. Like it just kind of opens my eyes what you can do. But I think like every time I write a book, it's like the season of discussions for that year. And then this last year when I wrote this, I was able to go back to like my old, like the literal high school that I went to and graduated from. And I'm talking to these kids that are like 15 to 17, like what they're going to do, what their aspirations are. And it's like they were having the same like not like limiting factors in their life that they could accomplish. Like it resonated with my heart so much because I've kind of forgotten what that felt like, 15 and 17 coming from not a huge resource family, and always comparing yourself to Johnny over there who has a brand new truck in high school. And then it's like, you always think somebody's just has a better start than you. And sometimes it's true, but that doesn't define your life. And I always preach that. So yeah, that's most of the book is about, just kind of breaking those generational tendencies that we seem to have. We create this unspoken law of what we can do and can't do.
So how did you first recognize kind of, that you were operating inside of a, sort of that bloodline cycle, as you call it, that needed to be broken? And was it at a young age, or was it not until you opened yourself up to being uncomfortable and getting in front of people that had been sort of mentors, or just people that were out, like you said, that were out and you're out meeting people and meeting entrepreneurs and hanging out with them and being open to that?
I think it was even earlier than that. I remember like my first job out of high school, I was fortunate enough. It was 18 was the age range. I could go deal poker at the Hard Rock in Tulsa. That was like my first job ever, which was wild, because you go from high school making nothing, and then you get out of high school, you're making $250,000 a year at 18. And it's like, it could be the best environment, or it could be the most like toxic environment for the rest of the world. But I was really fortunate at some of my managers and fellow dealers to kind of grab me early on and kind of like guided me through the pitfalls where people kind of go to, like, whether it's gambling or drugs or alcohol. And there's all these venues of like really bad, outcomes when it's like, you could do this. And if it wasn't for them, because they had the same upbringing as you and I, it's like very humble. It's like, it wasn't like trust fund families, but they were making it work. And that was like the first time I ever seen somebody like do very well from the same zip code that we were from. But it was also the first time, like, I've always enjoyed math, and it's one of those things you think everybody learns it the same way. It's like everybody can count. But some people don't. This was the most relevant in the poker room, because I don't know if you ever played cards before, blackjack.
Yeah, you're right.
It's quick. And it kind of defines what you're good at. It was like the first time I felt like good about myself. Because for some reason, short math just always clicked. So I think that was a big directional shift, because if it wasn't for meeting those people, I probably wouldn't have gone to OSU, did my undergrad and grad school, and I probably would have stayed in a very factory setting, as most people do around here. But I think the poker room for a very different trajectory. And then after that, just meeting people like you and, our circle of friends that continue to push you when you need poker.
So that's sort of like the baseline of, or a suggestion, or the number one starting block is to be open to that. Because I wasn't early in my career, 30 years ago. I wasn't a convention guy. I don't like big groups. It wasn't because I thought I knew it all. It was because it was uncomfortable, and I didn't know that I could contribute in any way to it. So there was that, am I worthy enough type of thing,
absolutely,
sort of things that went into that. And strangely enough, I was pulled into the convention scene because we won an award for providing the most cleanings for people battling cancer back years and years ago. And it was like, okay, I guess I'll go. And that kind of, and now I'm very comfortable on a stage speaking in front of 100 or 200 people or whatever. I'm very comfortable one-on-one. I'm very comfortable in the podcast area as a guest or as a host. I'll tell you what is very uncomfortable to me this day, and I really try to avoid. And it's not, maybe it's something I should get used to, but I don't think it is. I don't like being in a group of 15 people out to dinner. It's very, it's not entertaining. It's not productive. I can't add value. I have 15 conversations showing people interrupting each other. That's just not my vibe. Anything else, 4 people, I can do that. I have no problem with it. I'll go to a 15-person dinner and I'll just sit there and listen. And I can't wait to get the hell out of there. But I think, to your point, you got to surround yourself with people that can move you up and not keep you still.
Yeah, that resonates so much with me. I'm the same way. I'd rather have 3 to 4 people where I can chat quietly. 14 or like, that's like stressful. That's if I'm going to be there, I just want to be the guy that's listening, having like snacks.
Right, exactly.
Megan always likes to say, like, I don't want to be alone, but I don't want to be by myself. So I'm often like 20 foot from a crowd, kind of listening in.
Yeah, that's something. So you got a chapter in there, and I can't remember the exact name of it, or maybe I got it right. It was something like rewiring mindset, something like that. And we all, the word mindset's used an awful lot today. But you're talking about you're talking about mindset in general, but you have specific things you're talking about how to rewire yourself, and not just maybe mindset, but emotionally, professionally, certainly mindset wise. And and you sort of flagged this. I want to say it's like built different? How to rewire your success or something like that?
Yeah, that's close. So
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, which is more like developing emotional intelligence and what that really means, and like not only a professional setting, which we have.
Yeah.
Our circles aren't just, and I say this in our context of the social media that we consume too. It's not just our Facebook algorithm or whatever we're getting on YouTube. It's literally our family structure too. So if having the emotional intelligence to say, man, mom and dad, I love you, but you're not really serving the direction of my family, where we're heading, where we're going. I'm probably going to love you from a distance, and that's okay. That's going to be tough for you, but it really doesn't match the direction me and my family are going. It's a bunch of those really difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And they're tough in the short term. It's like my wife always says, like short-term pain, long-term gain with those things. It's like, if you can have a difficult conversation one time, the long-term dividends that you're going to experience are going to be just almost endless. It's like you're no longer getting asked for resources, or people are trying to take advantage of you or talk down to you. It was a lot of those things in a family setting we kind of had to get control of for my professional life, my family, to kind of really move in the direction we wanted to start going. But that's tough, though. I mean, it's so easy to say that, but for somebody that's that wants to be close to their siblings, but their siblings are having toxic traits to them, they're not supporting them, they're saying they're going to fail, and there's all these things that we've seen and probably experienced on some level. How do you shut that off? Because I think the biggest goal is having a clear direction of where you're heading. And I don't think we think about it enough. It's common for us to think like, quarter four is coming up, or a year from now. My wife and I, we're always looking 3, 5 years, 7 years out all the time. We talk about it every day.
Yeah.
So it makes having those difficult conversations that used to be really difficult, really easy now. Because if somebody's not matching the road we are on, I'm sorry, I'm going to love you from a distance.
Yeah, don't hop in our car, but we'll wave to you on the way by.
I'll wave when I pass.
Exactly. I love that. There's something to say. I'm doing a little bit of coaching right now, and I wouldn't call myself a coach by any means. But through the recruiting, hire, lead, and chill, I'm always getting questions, about things. But our vision with the company is that we don't just want to find you really good technicians to go clean things, install things, service things for you, but we want to, our vision statement is we want to match great employees with great companies. And the really end of our vision statement that is so important to our team and myself is we not only do we want to match great employees with great companies, we want to help our clients solve their employee problems. Mm-hmm. And I love that because it's a big circle. That entails a lot of things. So I'm really focused with our clients on what's your why. Okay. It's very personal to you. Let's figure that out. I can walk you through some ideas, but once you get that figured out, and my why very simply is predicated on this belief that I have, which is if one of us is God's kids, all of us are. If one of us is not, then none of us are. Okay. I start there, but my why is based on that. I want to serve all of God's kids the best I can to the best of my ability without being steamrolled. Everything else is his business, not mine. And sort of that's my why. So I try to tie that into our vision, and I try to teach our clients, once you get that vision statement, that should be tied into your why. You don't necessarily, I don't even tell my employees my why. That's your personal thing. But that vision, man, where are you going? Where are you leading them if you have no vision to do that? And it's got to be a pretty specific one. I don't mind, and I'd like your opinion on this because I've heard different opinions. I'd love to hear your opinion on, does that vision change over time? Can it change, or should it be pretty fundamental to who you are? Love to hear your take on that a little bit.
That's such a huge question, because I think back to like 2019, I didn't have any goals besides like create revenue that matched my corporate life. It's like I just needed to trade one. If I could figure it out, I wasn't figuring it out. And so you've ever heard, Bobby Walker, right?
Oh yeah.
Bobby grew up like 5 miles from me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I reached out to him on YouTube. I was like, I'm a nobody. I was like, I'm just like, how do you price, Bobby? He wrote me back.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm at Claymore. He's like, I grew up in Ulaga. It's like so close.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to go to Responsicon. I was like, what's Responsicon? He has Kurt Kempton reach out to me. I don't have anything. I have like an Excel sheet of stuff. And years later, Kurt Kempton gives me this hoodie. It's like my most prized possession. If the house is burning down, my wife knows. Conversations like that help out a lot, because it was like, one person leads you, because it was kind of like Bobby. It's like he started the same way, didn't know really what he wanted to do. The right sort kind of gave him a better guideline. But I think being flexible on the short-term goals is really easy to do, and you should be flexible. But I think you should be pretty rigid on the long-term trajectory of things, right? I think everybody kind of agrees with that, because we have a pretty ambitious goal for 7 years for TS Service to one day exit. But to exit, you have to reverse that whole algorithm, because you know what your end goal is. It's like you have to have, contracts for commercial residential work. You have to have a bunch of systems in place, automations. It has to be almost a turnkey business to exit.
Yeah.
Hell, you and I know a garage door guy that's got 13 times EBITDA. Like his interest alone monthly, he's going to make like 6 figures a month off the interest of the note. Anyways, a side conversation.
Right.
But we think about things. So it's not about being rigid or flexible either way. I think it's more important to have a really clear goal of where you need to be with your business, or it's nonprofit, and kind of just be flexible along the way, because it's never going to be, I made a plan, I work the plan. And whenever that happens, Shawn, I think we're both just like, oh my gosh, this plan worked the first time.
Yeah, right. So there's sort of a balance that I had to work myself through. And you talk a lot about changing your mindset and changing things. And, you can't be codependent on family a lot of times if they're trying to steer you down the wrong path, or they're affecting your ability to have that mindset. I work real hard to maintain my peace, and to be able to grow things and have businesses and manage people and all that sort of thing. And I love to have a servant's heart. And you heard me say the words in there, though, but I don't want to be steamrolled, right? There's this balance that you have to have in taking care of people that are working for you, and having that leadership to be able to do that. But also, I mean, and in this day and age, with the way that young men are being brought up, and young women, but I do want to say mostly young men, there's things that they were brought up with in today's world, like participation trophies. And I'm not judging things. It's just what it is. The first generation have a screen in their hand from day one, not, all those sort of things. That's what they grew up in. And leadership has never been more important, where you might need to teach this kid that it's okay to sweat a little bit. And here's why, and all those sort of. So there's this servant's heart thing versus, wait a minute, I've also got to make sure that I'm not getting steamrolled. There's people that I talk to out there that own businesses that have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that?
I feel like I've fought enough battles for them. They won't have to have those issues with like family and friends and stuff. I don't mind having those discussions so they don't have to. But I don't think it's so much about being steamrolled. We talk a lot about seeing where like the blue, because this is a blue service, work line we're doing. Right. Cleaning windows, we're cleaning gutters, we're power washing. It's at scale. But we always talk about, like, my oldest is 5, my youngest is 1.5, which is like such a crazy fun age. It's like, you love him, but he's like feral, like a coyote puppy. My wife and I, it's a dinner conversation. The boys are going to grow up with a very different table talk than I did when I was kind of, like recently, this last 4 months, I think every night at dinner we discuss how there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of blue or white collar jobs that are being eliminated, and they're going to come to blue collar side eventually. All right, they're going to, there's going to be a mass influx of people trying to do. It's like, always think like the lowest entry to barrier stuff first, which is like lawn care, window cleaning. $30, you can have a window cleaning business. It's like, what are we going to do with that? So I'm always like thinking about what are the boys going to do to be savages in 10, 15 years when they're up, you know?
Yeah.
Do they take over one of our LLCs? Do they step into like HVAC or electrical AI is not taking that over for foreseeable future. It's like, what are these things that are
Right
in their sphere of what's going to kill still? So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a difference between AI and robotics, right? The robotics is, there's a lot of years left before robots are gonna be up on the roofing and things like that, right? AI is here, but robotics is kind of a ways off yet. So we talked about the mindset and sort of getting out of that, those boundaries that we have when we're growing up, and sort of like, okay, this is kind of what's expected of me, and now once you get that mindset aligned, you start to talk about those systems to help buy back your time and maybe leverage some things in your life, and talk a little bit about that. So you explore that alignment with that mindset. You've got the mindset figured out now. How do you align sort of that the next step is to leverage that into something, and it's maybe less about doing more and more and more and more, and maybe sort of the systems, the processes, the outsourcing. Talk a little bit about that, because you got to have a little bit different take on that than some other people I've talked to.
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't that long ago, honestly. Maybe 5 years ago, I really started like trying to get my time back and stuff. So once we had the business running, like TS service was flowing, we had really good revenue, top line, bottom line. It was like it's the point where every entrepreneur was like, they're getting stretched too thin. They can't do it all anymore. It's like, you gotta let something go. And I made a list one night of all the stuff that I just hated doing. And it turned out it was like all the admin stuff and all the sales and follow-up invoicing and all like the GM work. So I systematized everything I could in terms of a software. That was my first thing. Like, responsibility was first. And when I found out about Jobber, and it's like, oh, they integrate. What does integrate mean? And it's like all these like little steps along the way to kind of give you a bunch of time. And that's been probably the best golden ticket, is like when you learn about like how different APIs can send information to different like third-party softwares, and like we use Gusto for payroll, and it takes me about 4 minutes every Friday, and it's done. It's like the best thing ever, because Jobber talks to ResponsiBid, and then they'll send information over to Gusto, and it's because if I had to pay somebody to do all that, like sit in an office and show up every day, you're talking $60,000 a year, like to have somebody do all those things and send all the emails and the texts and the voicemail bombs. And it's like, now I do it for like, I don't know, $2,000 or whatever it is for, the softwares and stuff. So that was my first like eyes open moment to like, oh my gosh, this is all getting done, and I'm not having to like do it at the end of the day when I get off the truck. And it also shows me what I really enjoy, which is being like on site with the clients and stuff. So the guys are cleaning, and I'm over there playing PR with Mitch Jones. She's going to give us cookies because she's having such a great time.
That's funny.
You'd be surprised how many clients like want to give us snacks or Gatorades or whatever. Right. And we give out, not this is a part of your question, we give out Christmas cards to all of our clients, like invoiced clients, forever, every Christmas. We just got them printed out, and we should get them today. It's weird going into a house that we've been serving like 6 and 7 years, and I see all of our Christmas cards on the refrigerator, like we're like one of the family members.
Right. That's great. That's
it
great.
is. It's really cool. And at first I was like, I don't know if this is good. I click. It was supposed to be like an early like revenue generator for the next year, was the thought of it, to keep us top of mind. But now it's like, we're just like, in their mind, we're the window people, or we're the whatever people to them. And it's like a little family thing.
That's awesome.
I think more than that, it's just saying no. Like as much as I'm saying no, I learned this from Libby. It's like the more you say no, the more you're saying yes to the things that you want to do and you need to be working on. So that's been like the last 2 years of really working on the word no, and not being, because it can be delivered just so cold. It's such a cold word.
Right.
So my wife is like, you can't say no to somebody and not tell them why. I said, yes, I can.
Right.
It's like, you have to tell them you're working on something. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's so much there. You've got to. The word no helps you allocate your energy and your focus on what you want to be focused and have your energy towards. And you have every right in the world to do that. I mean, and should. And it's required if you're looking to do what your book outlines towards the end with the legacy. Before we dive into the legacy stuff, I want to talk a little bit about and get your take on what Dan Plata kind of terms as purgatories. These, you kind of like it. I'm not sure where they're at. We used to look at it in a revenue sort of way. That sort of, when you start that $100,000 mark, then you're $250,000, then $500,000. With inflation, maybe those numbers are higher now. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants that $1 million and so on and so forth. Is there a purgatory that you've either coached some people on or experienced yourself that was the hardest to get through? I've heard things, well, the first $1 million was easy, but after that, and that first 200,000 was easy, but after that, what are those sort of purgatories that you see, and what are those? Why are they purgatories? Why are they limiting? And why is it hard for people, too many entrepreneurs, to break through those purgatories?
Shawn, that's like such a perfect term for what it feels like when you're going through like purgatory. I don't know if you've ever been into like a biblical sense, but it's like, that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, it is.
I think the most difficult was like achieving the 250 mark, gross, it's not net revenue. But then you start scaling and you're like, oh, I got to get to 7-figure, because that's what every successful person I'm looking at currently, that's the standards. We get to that. It's like, I was making more money at 600,000 top line. So we're going to scale a truck back. We definitely did that. Yeah, we scaled hard and fast. We're at 3 trucks now. We want to stay there. That's like our sweet spot, because every truck does about 250 a year, 300 depending, But we don't have to be the 7 truck model anymore.
I love it.
We're really focusing on like EBITDA and net cash flow numbers and net ROI. It's like we don't give a crap about gross numbers anymore.
I love that. I absolutely love that. There's, and we all talk about it. It's, I'm a $1 million company. I've got $1 million revenue, but my margin's 1.5%, and people don't realize how expensive growth is. It is so expensive to grow a business, and how do you budget for growth? How do you do that? And who do you talk to? So and when I talk to people, how do I get to? I don't know. What is your goal? Is your goal to make? Is it to make money and be profitable with it as the least amount of effort and energy as possible, or is it to chaotically and maintain peace along the way, or is it chaotically going to just, I don't care, I'm going to run through walls and I'm going to ruin my wife's life, and I'm gonna, I go, what's your goal here? I don't know. I often tell my clients, and I'm very big on, I'm very limited on what I will coach or teach on, because I have to be passionate about it. I'm not one of these guys that says, well, what's your goal? And okay, well, I'm not real passionate about that, so I'll coach you on that. That doesn't work for me. So I want to help you grow to the extent you want to grow, but as peacefully as possible. Mm-hmm. That's what I am passionate about doing. My thing, and I tell my team this not often enough, but I tell them, in our world of what we do, we are changing people's lives. We're changing the world, because if we're helping people solve the employee side of their business, I promise you that they are not needing a divorce attorney. They're probably a better father, a better husband, a better son, a better friend, a better boss, a better leader.
Yeah.
That's world changing. Those are things that we do. If we can help people be better dads because of that, and it's not, we're doing that because they're sleeping better at night because of what we're doing for them. That's a big damn thing to me. And that's what I'm passionate about. Now, if that's not something somebody wants, that's fine for me. I don't care. I just can't coach on anything, and I don't know about that part of life, okay? You'll need to have somebody else mentor you through busting through walls and how to get the best, divorce attorney. That's not what I'm passionate about. So there's things like that, but it's tying into, the legacy part. I want to get into that now, because we always talk about systems and stuff, so I don't want to go over that. Everybody, if you don't know that it takes systems and processes to put things together and grow a business, I don't know what to tell you at this point. How to do it, now that's a different story, but the legacy thing is very, very interesting to me. you're not looking, you just said you're not looking to be the 7, 10, 15, truck guy out there. You're more in tune with how do I get to be efficient, profitable, be able to take vacations, and this legacy thing. What is this legacy thing all about?
We only look at a few KPIs, and we used to look at everything. It was like overwhelming. You can overbuild an Excel sheet, and you can kind of drown in the data spreads. But we look at average ticket a lot. We look at monthly or our actual NOI, like are we 30%? Are we at 35%, which is pretty incredible. There was a couple months this year we ran 50% net, which was like awesome. They were really big jobs. We were priced well, so those obviously huge factors in it. But when I hear a lot of people, because we'll take, as a business coach, we've taken like 100 entrepreneurs to 7 figures, and they all had the same experience with it. It was the same way with me. It's like I wanted to get to 7 figures to prove it to myself, prove it to everybody else around me for some reason that we did it, and everybody hates it. Like once you get to that big, it's like I really just want to focus on like net operating income. We want to focus on our quality of free time, not just free time. When we work with some dentists and stuff, when they're at home, I want them to be at home mentally, not just like at home in physical person waiting to go back to the office. We've all kind of experienced that. But when we started focusing on more of like our boys, what are they going to have in 10, 15 years? I didn't have a trust fund, but they will. It's like, how do we teach them to use those tools correctly? Because that's new for me. It's like I'm still learning that with them. It's like I can fund it, but how do I teach them that it's a tool you don't really pull from kind of thing, So you have a bunch of kids, right, Shawn?
I've got 2 kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So when you hit like 40, 45, you're like, I got to leave them something. What was like the top thought of like, didn't stress you out, but you got excited about? Was it like giving them like a business to hand off to? What was it?
Yeah, my thing was I just wanted them to have resources to be able to find a path that they found a lot of peace and freedom to do what they wanted to do and love what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's all you should do. But your kids are older. Mine are little.
Right. Mine are older, yeah.
So who knows what that means? But for me, it's just like giving them the tools that I think they're going to be useful. Hopefully when they're older, they have a good set of friends, because I could teach these kids everything in the next 18 years to be just rock solid, successful. They could have 2 really bad friends, and they could undo 2 decades of work, so it's all a gamble, Shawn.
Yeah. We were talking about our backgrounds and, some sort of humble backgrounds and that type of thing. I also remember when I first started my first company, we were out having a couple beers with friends, and one of my friends had said, I am so proud of you with this, starting this new business, how, there's a lot of risk and a lot of hard work and a lot of, you're just this. And funny enough, another friend of mine was taking over his father's business. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, I said, man, you know what though, Jackie? I said, if my business fails and I don't do well and I'm the one that started it, I'm just like the other 70 or 80% that fail. I go, Doug is taking over his dad's business after 30 years of being a very successful business. I'm not sure I want that pressure. He's got a hell of a lot of pressure on him, right? Yeah. So there is something to say that to be able to, the legacy thing has got to, and we both said the words, resources and tools. Those are the things to leave that are part of that legacy. Without, we can say this is what we want for you, but boy, if we don't teach you how to do it and provide the tools and the resources to do it, and also the discipline to, okay, you got a trust fund, but you're not going out and buying, a Ferrari when you're 19 years old. There's some things that we've got to discuss there. Talk a little bit about that and what you're doing with your kids or what you're seeing. If you and your wife are talking about things 7 years down the road and you've got a 5-year-old, when they're becoming a teenager and a young man at that point, that there's some change that goes on there. Talk a little bit about that. What are those? You gotta not. I don't like to use the word boundaries or restrictions, but there's got to be some sort of things that we're teaching them. Responsibility, maybe, is the word.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, because I think that's the cornerstone of it. So I'm very fortunate to be a part of this mastermind group. It's like 40 of like the highest earners for our industry. They're doing like 7 and 8 figures, in net or gross operating income. but they're all at the age where they're like 60 years old. They want to retire. It's like they make really good money, but their kids don't have the skills to like take it over or have zero desire to take their parents' businesses over. Can you imagine having like a dad that does 12 million in window cleaning? You're like, no, I think I'm good, pops.
Right.
It's frustrating for those guys. It's because either the kids don't want it, or they've never developed the skill set to take it off without knowing it's going to crumble in a couple of years. So those guys are either trying to exit. So, and you're that big, you're looking for like angel investors are great, but like small mom and pops, you've outpriced them, you know. So we think about that too. It's like, when we have this business for the boys, is this something they're even going to care to take over if we grow this monster? So there's a lot of gray, Shawn. It's like I can't predict what they're going to want to do or think it's cool. I can just only preach this to them every day about what like time freedom and money freedom look like.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's so easy for you and I to say how valuable it is because we grew up with the opposite. It's like, it still feels new to me. It's like I still love it. It still feels like awesome.
That's a good thing, though, right? That's a real good thing to have something feel new in your life that you've been part of, though, for a couple of years now, man. I mean, it's you've been doing well for a number of years. It's not like you've been, started doing well last year, and to have that something that cool feel new is really neat, And I'm a big spiritual guy, so like I always I talk a lot of spirituality with people, and I always say, man, I go to bed every night and wake up every night with a new woman. It's the same body that she's in, but that's how I look at life in my relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect tomorrow. I don't want to know. How boring would life be to know that? So I try to live my life that way. Do you have any type of like spiritual things that you might be able to just touch on a little bit, that or not? If not, no big deal. It doesn't matter. But anything like that on a more maybe a spiritual type of thing, and I don't necessarily mean religion.
Well, I don't know so much into that, but I can talk about like what this life does mean, because I'm just so appreciative for what it's turned into versus what, like if you'd have told myself at 10 years old, my life is going to look like this, I'd be like, are you sure it's the right guy? Like, what is it? And I think you resonate with this. So when we named the book Built Not Bought, we bought some land next to us. My neighbor, he builds these incredible custom homes, and he was also doing some dirt work for us just right next to us. And we're walking the land. You're having a real like country guy moment out there. Nobody's around, just him and I on a June day. And we were talking about just how, because he had the same background. It's like we just value life so much. It's almost like an emotional response. It's just how much we're proud of what we've created, And I was like, it still feels new. I was like, I hope this feeling never leaves, because I get so excited to wake up. Some days I'll wake up at 2:30 in the morning. I can't wait to get some stuff done that I'm looking forward to doing, He's like, these lives, you can't buy them. You got to build them. And I was like, oh my God, Michael, I love that, dude. That hits my heart so good. So I named the book after what he said out in the pasture that day about, building these lives, not buying them. But I think that's about as spiritual as I get, because I don't get emotional over, a lot of stuff, but I do really resonate when somebody's working really hard and I see them achieve something they've been working their butts off for. And it's like, oh, I'm right there with you. This is awesome. So how can I be a bigger cheerleader for you for what you're going through?
I love that. Yeah. I've got a buddy that's a scientist. He works for the Cleveland Clinic, and he studies peak performers, whether in business or athletes and things like that. And there are so many different categories of life and industry and paths that people take. And when I see the best of the best doing something that other human beings aren't able to do or can't do or haven't dedicated themselves or haven't gotten the passion to do, I'll watch that all day long. And it doesn't necessarily just mean business or sports, but whatever it is, man, this guy is doing this, and whatever it's painting or whatever it is. And man, I can watch that all day long, just watching somebody perfect and be passionate about an art that they're involved with better than anybody.
Absolutely.
Why is Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods? It's that, and they're so far from everybody else that's really, really good, but they outdistance them by a mile. How is that? I dig that, man, and I could watch that all day long.
It's like outliers of the outliers. It's like, how does this gap even happen? Tiger's he's so big on like he's taking reps in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping. It's like he was always interview. He was talking about John Daly.
Yeah,
and how he wishes he had John Daly's skill. He's like, I wouldn't be practicing. I never practiced. Wouldn't know what to do with all the free time.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. What do you got to say when we'll wrap it up here? What are some things? AI, because I always like to bring up AI. What are you using AI in any type of different way? Is it a big deal to you at all? Is it anything to be thinking about, concern, certainly to think about it, but anything concerning, or is it just it's AI? It's like when websites came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than what we use it for. We don't use it that much, mostly just for like email copies for campaigns and stuff.
Yep.
But even though we'll have it and we'll give all these awesome prompts to really direct who our demo is and the age group and zip codes and stuff, it still feels like generic. I don't know the word for it. It doesn't feel like something I would write. So We'll have them give us a big script for like the bones of it, and we'll go through and tweak and change. But we don't use it a ton. Sometimes if I'm building a new Excel file out, and like we have a new LLC we're opening up in Q1, it's like this huge build out, and it's like the fun but stressful liftoff. It's like all this forecasted data, but no real data support the financial investment yet.
Right.
I'll use it for that. Give me some numbers and help out with some of the timelines and stuff. But
right,
I don't know. I probably need to use it more than I do. How about you guys?
Yeah, we're looking into some like voice AI stuff. There's a lot of shiny object stuff to it, I think, right now with some things. And one of the people that I do business with, a partner of mine, he's like, that's where it's headed. That's where it's headed. And he knows it really well. And I get it. And he's like, we probably should consider doing this. I'm like, that just added 3 steps to getting a candidate to the interview table and hired, though. I don't understand. It's not just, there's something to be said about, it could be more efficient for us, but it sure as hell isn't helping our client in any way. And in fact, it's hurting them, and it's hurting the candidate side of this. So there's, I still think there's a little, we certainly use it. I use it every day, but there's certainly some shiny object shit that goes along with it.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to watch those landmines with it. I think get there. The book, I bought the book when it first came out. I think it was the first week out. I grabbed it. Built Not Bought, and it's different in a lot of ways. I love the beginning of it. I love where your angle on it with the legacy thing, but building those. There's a lot of talk and chatter about mindset out there, but you've got a different way to look at it. You got a different way to. Not a different way, but a different purpose behind it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really unique in the book. And it's not just have a good attitude, a positive attitude, and that. There's a different reason and why on how you can escape limitation on a more hereditary or environmental aspect, more so than just rah, cheer. And I just applaud that big time. Tyler, I think you did a hell of a job on that part of the book for sure.
Shawn, thank you. I appreciate it. I almost pulled that chapter at the very, very last second because there's certain words we just hear so much, like systems, mindset, automation. It's like, I'm tired of hearing this crap. It's like, how do we phrase it where it's not like you've heard it 9 times, on YouTube today on a reel? So that one I actually rewrote a couple times. So thank you for saying that, by the way, because I almost pulled it. It was close.
Yeah. Well, you can tell that you put time into it. So you almost pulled it because of the repetition and stuff, but that made you think about it more, I think, in depth from what you've said.
Yeah.
And I can see that in the writing of it and how it affected me when I read it. And I know it's affecting other people. So that's a cool process you went through that made it more important than maybe you thought at the beginning of when you first put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like a 9th rewrite, but I think it was perfectly done. It was good as my skill set can allow,
Yeah. All right, man. The book's called Built Not Bought. Get it. We got a link. If we don't have the link up yet, it'll be up shortly. Trish will take care of that. Tyler, my man, it was good to see you again. I'm glad we got on, and I wish you all the best with this. I hope it's even more successful than the first one. And if there's anything I can do for you, I'm here for you. I'm a big backer of Tyler Starkey and the things you do, because you got a good foundation of the way that you love to help people and touch people and being open and humble enough to be able to surround yourself and get uncomfortable. And I love that about you, man.
Yeah, you got to live in the uncomfortable. Absolutely. This doesn't get there without it.
That's right. That's right. All right, everybody. I'll be back. I'm off to Houston tomorrow at some cool convention, but I'll be back Tuesday in time, 2 o'clock. I'm not sure who's on yet. I'll be told probably on Monday, and then I'll dive deep into that, and we'll figure it out, man. Tyler, take good care. Everybody out there, make it happen. God bless, and let's rock and roll.
Awesome. Thanks, Shawn.